Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Radcast on the topic of solutions, meta-solution, and solutionaries. And I'm happy to be joined by my colleague and co-host, Michael. Michael, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Good to be here.
Awesome. Great to have you. Okay, so let's talk about solutions, meta-solution, and solutionaries. So by solutions, we're talking about solutions to the world's most daunting problems, most notably abrupt climate change, runaway climate change, global warming, call it what you will. It's a predicament that we are in, and it's looking pretty serious, pretty dire, and more dire arguably by the week, if not the day. And so we need solutions to that. And we are talking, when we talk about solutions, we're talking about solutions at all scales and all levels, all the way from planet level solutions, such as geoengineering solutions, to reflect sunlight back into space as a form of cooling, to alter the composition of gases and particles in the atmosphere, et cetera, to find ways to help the algae in the oceans absorb more CO2, what have you. So there's lots of different kinds of planetary scale solutions. There's also a bunch of local solutions, everything from cleaning up the plastic on beaches to cleaning up the oceans to how you manage your farm if you're a farmer, and then all the way to kind of mid-level solutions like holistic land management applied at a regional level for sequestering carbon, for transforming ecosystems to be more healthy, more resilient, all the way to very human level solutions like building arcologies, which one could think of as glorified shelters for protecting humanity, for providing living space and working space in the changing world that we're now in. So solutions. So if those are anything else to add about solutions, Michael, that you'd like to add?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, just jump in anytime, and I'll just continue with the broad overview. And solutionaries are the people who develop solutions and implement solutions of various different kinds. And so what is this thing called meta-solution? Well, by meta-solution, I mean well, here's what it means to me, and it might mean different things to different people. But what it means to me is, in its simplest terms, it is that which begets solutions, that which conceives of, refines, develops, designs, perfects, and ultimately implements solutions in the real world. So what is it that develops and implements solutions? Well, it's fundamentally, it's people, but it's people using tools, including platforms. So it's this superset that includes people, the solutionaries, and tools and platforms that, in my mind, constitutes the meta solution. It is that combination which generates and implements all the solutions that will be implemented. Now, so let's talk a little bit more about the meta solution, because I actually think this is key. And by meta solution, so let's look at the platforms that make up the meta solution. And most of these really don't exist yet, certainly not in their full-fledged form. We're envisioning a whole network of platforms that will enable and empower people, solutionaries, to get on these platforms and use these platforms to essentially maximize their productivity, maximize their output in the realm of generating and implementing solutions. So how might that be? Well, let's just kind of, and here's where I'd like to just sort of envision and share with the world the vision that we've been developing over the last few years, which we're now implementing on radish.org. And that is a vision where people come together to create solutions, and there's different stages to the solution creation process. There's the ideation process. Hey, I got an idea for how we might help this or that, species, ecosystem, or the planet as a whole to cool off or whatever. So you got some idea. From the ideation through the exploration of that idea, through conversation, to developing it from just a high-level concept to a more well-defined, refined idea, to a high-level design, to a detailed design, to an optimized design, to a tested design, to something that's now been prototyped and tested in the field. So there's all these stages of development, from the initial light bulb going off in somebody's head, all the way through the stages to full-scale implementation. And so we envision that as part of this evolutionary process of ideas, you could sort of think of it as like a pipeline of ideas, where each idea is at a different point in the pipeline, that there be a network of platforms and systems and tools that facilitate that whole process. So for example, let's say in the early stages, there's lots of different groups of people who come together. Let's just assume for the moment online, like we're doing right now on a recorded video conference. Let's assume that in parallel, there are, say, hundreds of different groups of individuals who are getting together and talking about ideas that they have for solutions. And let's suppose that all the while that they're talking about these different ideas for solutions, the artificial intelligence is listening in and transcribing everything that's being said, indexing and cataloging everything that's being said, so that the AI forms an increasingly clear view of who Jamin is and what he likes to talk about and what ideas he's coming up with and what areas he has expertise in, and basically everything that he's talked about that indicates what his passions and interests and areas of competence are. Now, on top of that, we could have Jamin upload everything from his resume to, if he wants, his entire hard drive. All of that provides more raw material for the artificial intelligence to say, okay, this is all stuff that Jamin has either authored or has access to or has worked on or is interested in or whatever. So there's lots of ways in which Jamin can expose himself to the system, and therefore the system knows basically what Jamin's good at, what he's good for, right? And what he's interested in. Now imagine it does that for you, Michael, and for every one of the other hundreds or thousands or millions of participants, however large the meta system grows to be. And armed with that knowledge about all the individuals, then at any point, whenever a group of people is talking about a specific solution, wherever they're at in the pipeline of high-level design, detailed design, or whatever, and whenever that group identifies that it is missing something, it's missing some area of expertise or some experience in whatever, to be able to select the best material or component for the solution that they're building or whatever, the system then, the artificial intelligence system or AI system, will be able to tap into its rich database of all the individuals who are participating as part of the meta solution, and be able to say, hey, let's invite this person into the conversation. They can help bridge the gap of that which is missing in terms of knowledge or experience for this particular phase of the project, of this one solution that's being designed, developed, and implemented. So that's one example of how the platforms, including the different forms of artificial intelligence, will work in facilitating solutions being designed, built, and implemented as quickly as possible. So there's this concept of the system knows me, the system knows what I'm good for, and the system can pull me in, can invite me into conversation. So say I'm sitting in front of my computer, working on whatever solution I'm most interested in at the moment, I can indicate my status either as do not disturb or available or be right back or whatever. Well, if I'm available, I may be working on something, but available to answer questions that if anyone else, needs help with something, the system could then pull me in, and voila, I could rapidly switch from this video conference that I'm in right now with you to another, answer whatever question is holding them up. Then when my help is rendered and they're like, wow, thank you so much, we'll call you again if we need you. Okay, great, thanks so much. And then I go back to whatever else I was doing before I was called upon. So there's this concept of basically switching from task to task, from conversation to conversation, because like an expert mathematician who is an expert at a very specific niche of mathematics, whenever they're needed to help some other mathematicians or physicists or chemists or whoever to solve some problem that they're stuck with, that person can come in, go boom, that's easy, boom, 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 because it's easy for them, right? Basically, we have a hypothesis that any problem that needs to be solved, that in fact is solvable, can be solved by some combination of human beings. And so the system, the AI system, the one big part of the meta solution is being able to identify those people and bring them in quickly and efficiently so that problems can be solved, right? I mean, the development of any solution can be seen as a series of problems that need to be solved. Design problems, material selection problems, testing, et cetera, et cetera. So being able to identify the people that need to be pulled in, bringing them in, et cetera. So this rapid switching and kind of rapid, forming of a team, even for a few minutes, to wrap their head around a certain problem. That's very, very valuable, and that's key to what we're envisioning. And hand in hand with that is the concept of a micro contribution, right? That the complete design and development and ultimately implementation of any solution is a series, can be seen as a series of micro contributions made in a specific order. And so everything I was talking about in the last few minutes about bringing in the right individual or the right team to solve the right problem at the right time, that's a micro contribution that individual or team is making in order to forward that project. And we'll see some examples as we get more into it in future episodes, looking at, for example, the brain swarming methodology, where there's a whole series of micro contributions that need to be made in order to develop a particular solution to a particular problem. So micro contributions is a key part of it. And another key part of it is having a virtual testing environment that is holistic, that looks at the whole world. And so as solutions are being developed and designed, they can be tested virtually rather than testing them in the real world, because it's much less time-consuming and much less costly to test something virtually than actually in the physical world. And one of the advantages of that is you get to actually refine and perfect the design and the solution in this virtual environment, so that when you finally get to implement it in the real world, it's perfected and maximally effective and maximally efficient. So I'm just starting to give kind of like an overview of the different kinds of platforms and parts of these platforms of the meta solution to enable and empower humanity to most quickly and efficiently come up with all the solutions that we possibly can in whatever time frame we have. So again, big picture, Solutionaries, the people, leverage the platforms of the meta solution to generate all the specific solutions that we need to cool the planet, to heal ecosystems, to heal and protect the life-supporting systems of the planet, and ultimately do as much as we can to save as much of life on Earth that can possibly be saved in the time that remains. So that's kind of my high-level overview on solutions, meta-solution, and solutionaries.
Wow. That was, I think, very coherent and concise, even though you went into some detail. And I think one analogy that comes to mind, just to kind of zoom way back out again after you zoomed in, is that of, say, a factory where you have the factory and the machine, right? But it's not enough to have the machine. You also have the workers, and you have what comes out the end product, right? I mean, it's that simple. And yet, because of the nature because of the complexity of the tool, or the need for a tool that can handle, global holistic modeling, optimization, the optimization layer, so that we can simulate virtually, digitally. All these tools are becoming available. And so why not cobble them together, to make our machine, right, the meta platform. But to do so, we need solutionaries. Those who have, the knowledge base and skill set to make even micro contributions, however small they may be essential. One of the, I think one of the most powerful parts of this platform, this meta solution, collective intelligence, is it enables what we used to call amateurs, right, to leverage their vastly underutilized intelligence. Think of what's happening in the area of, say, citizen science, right? Mapping the galaxies. If the contribution is small enough, anybody can make it. That had the time and mental capacity. So I think that's the great secret, is leveraging that unused, underutilized, knowledge base, skill set for a level of collaboration that was hitherto for impossible. So, starting with the solutionaries, who together, co-create the meta solution, being the platform itself, or the network of platforms, right, upon which we build this, the solutions themselves that are so much needed. And I think that is the epitome of the famous Einstein quote, right, about not being able to solve, problems on the same level upon which they were created, right? You need a higher level of thinking. And that, we posit, is collective intelligence itself, transcending the individual or any, number of individuals, right? It's like the difference between, and help me out here, I know you know more chemistry than me, but a mixture and, say, a compound, right? Or something where you actually have some kind of reaction, right? The creation of something new. And we need to leverage that collective intelligence before it's too late.
Yeah, no, very good, Michael. In fact, the difference between a mixture and a compound, what we have right now on Earth is a mixture of humanity, each one, essentially operating as an individual, trying to maximize self-interest. And what we're talking about here is creating a compound, essentially a new molecule consisting of the different atoms. Or if the individual is like the atom, we're talking about creating a vastly huge molecule made up of all these individuals working together in a very dynamic way, leveraging not only human intelligence but also artificial intelligence to create, for lack of a better word, a giant brain, which is, part human and part machine. But even the human part consists of, I mean, ideally, millions of humans will get into the game, the race for solutions to beat the predicament of abrupt climate change. And
It's like
so,
the new space race, but here it's the time race.
yeah, it's a race against time, and it's a race against some vicious self-reinforcing feedback loops, which are driving Mother Earth toward a hothouse state. And many people think that's inevitable, and there's nothing we can do about it. But there are a bunch of us solutionaries out there who believe that there must be something that can be done. And by combining ourselves together with various forms of artificial intelligence, we are creating a new giant brain, effectively, a giant form of intelligence, a much higher form of intelligence. And we have strong reason to believe that this higher form of intelligence will be exponentially growing, for the simple fact that if you observe that all of the critical components of the platforms that constitute the meta solution, right? The AI systems, all the systems for, voice recognition and voice to text transcription and indexing and mapping, and all the systems, the features we were talking about earlier. If you consider that each of those components of this network of platforms that makes up the meta solution, each of those components themselves is a solution, right? It's something that some combination of people and AI came up with. And if you consider that once the first version of the platform is built, the people who congregate on top of and around it to use that platform to generate solutions, they can use that platform to generate solutions for addressing abrupt climate change, but they can also use that platform for coming up with better components, better platforms for the meta solution of collective intelligence itself. So you get this virtuous cycle where, starting with the first platform, that platform plus the solutionaries, the people, use this higher form of intelligence to build the next generation of the platform, which can support an even higher form of intelligence, which can generate even better solutions and even better platforms for collective intelligence. And so it can become this virtuous cycle of continuous evolution of the platforms themselves, which enable humanity to to be that much more productive at generating solutions. It's like a more efficient engine or vehicle. Like, the first cars probably got, I don't know, maybe a couple miles per gallon, right? And now the latest hybrids, can get, upwards of, 80 miles per gallon. And then, of course, there are electric vehicles that don't even use gas at all. So instead of miles per gallon, we're looking at, solutions per individual, or quality of solution per individual. So we can get a lot more output with the right, with the right platforms and tools.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Chinese saying that it takes one axe to make another. We're a tool using species. Well, where'd that first tool come from, right? Or where'd the second one come from, or the third, right? Well, the first one was probably just something that somebody picked up and used as a tool, But from there, because it's being used as a tool, there's a multiplicity of tools, and that's what we're talking about in terms of a meta solution, right? This network of platforms, and there's a simplicity in it that says by nature we're a tool using species, right? But then there's something very profound in terms of what we're able to do um, with the tools that we have co-created. And you know, I think anytime we look around for solutions without looking at what has made those solutions possible, right, is not taking a holistic approach. It's not just about casting one's attention upon discrete problems and solutions and solving them that way, because as it turns out, we're in a predicament where that piecemeal approach ain't going to cut it.
Yeah, we need to look at our world as a whole, and we need to come up with that set of solutions that will interoperate with each other like a system of gears that interoperates to make a Rolex watch. Every single part of that Rolex watch has to work in harmony, symbiotically with the other parts, so that the miracle that is that watch can be manifested. Likewise, we need to treat and look at Mother Earth as a spaceship, which is now overheating and suffering myriad problems. And we need to find those parts which don't just do their job well, but work well with the other parts. So there's the task of inventing or developing or refining, perfecting all these individual solutions, and then getting them to come together, integrate them, you know, systems integration, integrate all these solutions together so that they work together as a whole and holistically meet all the goals that we're setting out to accomplish, such as cooling Mother Earth or reducing the heating, however you want to put it, but ultimately, you know, cooling Mother Earth so that we can maintain Mother Earth within a livable zone of temperatures, and restore balance to the jet stream, the Gulf Stream, the hydrologic cycle, and the various life-supporting systems of Mother Earth. So we need to look at Mother Earth as a whole. We need to model her as a whole so that we can holistically model the effects of any combination of solutions that we're interested in implementing. You had mentioned earlier the optimization layer. So if you imagine we've got this model that can model any combination of solutions, well, it might take us forever to keep, you know, testing different combinations of solutions, and we don't have forever. So in the realm of artificial intelligence and computer modeling, one of my areas of expertise, for around that model of Mother Earth, we can build what we call an optimization layer, which automatically, using artificial intelligence, tests different combinations of solutions, even from an extremely large pool of candidates, to iteratively come up with the best combination of solutions in terms of which solution shall we implement and how much shall we implement of each, so that we come up with this orchestrated set of solutions to holistically save as much of life on Earth as possible.
And not a moment too soon.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. You know, today's date is August 7th, 2018, and we are, I mean, and all around the world, records are being broken in terms of temperature, wildfires, other forms of natural disaster, droughts, hurricanes, floods, and it's like the world is finally waking up to the fact that we've got a serious problem. There used to be a bunch of debate on that. It seems that debate is quickly quieting down, and it's giving way to, for many people, despair, for many people, just shock and immobilization. For those of us who knew this moment was coming but didn't know exactly when it would come or how it would come, we really see this as an opportunity for people to wake up not just to the problems, but to the opportunity of developing solutions. And so we think now is really the perfect moment to really push this paradigm of solutions, meta-solution, and solutionaries. And as a first step, to reach out to all of the solutionaries in the tech sector and bring us all together so that we can work together to build out all of the platforms that we need to have a well-working collective intelligence, a well-working meta-solution to facilitate all of humanity, not just the tech sector, but all of humanity, to then use that network of platforms to develop all the solutions that we need, not just engineering solutions or, you know, natural resource management solutions, but political solutions, cultural solutions, media solutions, stories, stories for children, stories for grown-ups, speeches that politicians can deliver that effectively communicate and inspire. We need so many different solutions of so many different kinds. I don't think there's any one silver bullet, and that's a tendency I think that we're going to need to actively overcome, is this idea that, well, what needs to happen is this, you know, some simplistic idea of what we think might solve it, and that the mere articulation of that, with the mere articulation of that, we've done our job in terms of contributing to the solution. It might be satisfying to think that, but I think we need to really stare reality in the face and acknowledge that we've never had a problem quite as wicked as the one of runaway heating of our own planet, destroying life and ecosystems, and very likely on an exponential trend, giving us very little time to essentially come up with the miraculous set of solutions that will halt this runaway heating. So for me, it's quite clear that we need a meta solution. We don't just need solutions. We need a meta solution, a powerful meta solution, which will help us generate all the solutions that we need and work together effectively as a united humanity. So we're going after the tech sector first, to rally together all the solutionaries in the tech sector to come together and co-design and ultimately co-create the meta solution, which I believe will really set humanity on fire as regards our capacity to generate solutions, generate and perfect and refine and ultimately implement all the solutions that we need to implement.
Yeah, it's among other things. Sorry, there's some background noise, but it's a plea to the solutionary within, right? To, you know, come out in the open, as it were. You know, basically, you know, be the solutionary you were meant to be. And I believe that any number of us will do exactly that when, you know, given the chance. And the construction of this meta solution, this network of platforms, just is that, you know, that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we co-evolve and co-create that, we ourselves will be changing as we become part of it. Our culture as humans will transform in the process. And dare I say, our politics will transform, because we need systems of governance that take full advantage of this powerful, massively higher form of intelligence that we're going to be creating here, and take advantage of all the solutions that are proposed. The time for lobbying for special interests and partisan politics, that time is over. We need to enter a new era of cooperation. and co-creation of solutions, and that calls for a whole new culture and a whole new systems of governance, and in fact whole new living arrangements for humanity. So we're at a time when everything is changing, and we have an opportunity to actually orchestrate and design the path of that change so that it is maximally beneficial to life on Earth, including human life. And all of the solutions that will help us get there, again, including all manner of solutions, cultural solutions, political solutions, media solutions, entertainment solutions, et cetera, each and every one of these plays a part in the whole, in the transformation of the whole, which is nothing less than transforming life on Earth and transforming Mother Earth herself so that she can come back into balance and support life in the face of everything that's happening right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. All righty.
Well, with that, I leave you the last word.
All right. Well, thank you for participating. Thank you all for watching. This is the first of a series called Solutions, Meta Solution, and Solutionaries. And we'd like to invite everyone to participate. Please contact us through radish.org. If you would like to participate in these conversations, we would love to have you. So with that, Michael, I'll see you next time, and we'll see all of you next time. Thank you so much.